Hello, this is Louise Carden, also known as the Queen of Calm, and I'm back in with another video in my little series talking about the pillars of my membership community. There are 3 pillars of my community: calm, compassion, and community. And they're kind of my words for 2021 as well, because I think all those things really showed up as being very important last year in 2020. So you can find the first video, which was about calm, a bit further down the page. And today I want to talk about compassion. So the definition of compassion is sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others, or a strong feeling of sympathy and sadness for the suffering or bad luck of others and a wish to help them. Now, unlike empathy, compassion creates emotional distance from the individual, so you're not suffering alongside them. But by practicing compassion, we can become more resilient and improve our overall well-being. Now, I know that you are compassionate and want to be of service to others. And of course, that's really great, but many of you forget to be compassionate to yourself. You forget how to show concern for your own suffering and misfortune, and you forget to help yourself. But showing compassion for yourself is actually where we need to start, because we teach people how to treat us by the way we treat ourselves. So if people see that you're being unkind to yourself, they think it's okay for them to be unkind to you. And there are so many ways that you treat yourself unkindly. Now, I'm just going to briefly outline some of the areas where you could make changes right now. For instance, we don't like to say no to anybody. You help at charity events, school events, you help your family and neighbours, you spread yourself really thin, and you get stressed, frazzled, or simply just run out of energy. This is lack of compassion for yourself, your needs, your wants, and your health and well-being. And so you need to set healthy boundaries, set time aside for yourself, as well as to be service to others. And if you're already in a caring profession such as healthcare or teaching, you're giving and giving all day at work, and then probably when you get home too. And at work or even at home, you can find yourself doing the same thing for hours on end, often under the pressure of a deadline. And long periods of continuing stress will start to adversely affect your physical and your mental and emotional states. So if you start by taking regular breaks in your working day, because these are essential as you're only able to function at a high level for a fairly short period of time, 90 minutes is probably as long as you can go without starting to decrease in productivity and attention. Productivity is one of the first things that starts to suffer. So you will actually work better and get more done if you take a rest. But if you push through, that means the task will take longer, your capability to do it will decrease, and you'll just get exhausted. You probably have friends who drain your energy, don't you? Lose those friends who drain your energy. True friendship is a two-way street. It requires both giving and receiving on both parties. There may be people in your circle of family or friends who no longer fit in with your beliefs or your way of doing things. You know, we all change over the years. What we like to do when we were younger may not be what we want to do now. And sometimes we hold on to people who really no longer fit in our life. My marriage ending was probably the best thing for both of us, although at the time it felt like it was a failure. And my son tells me that both I and his father seem a lot happier now we're no longer living together. There's that saying, isn't there, that people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think it's worth remembering, not everyone grows and evolves in the same way that you do. In fact, it may be an act of compassion for you to let someone go for their sake as well as for yours. And think about allowing yourself to become more open to receiving. Because when you become more open to receiving from others, you're able to have the energy to give back more to other people. Modern women are often looking after children, older relatives, pets, running a home, and working full time. And in order to do this, you put yourself at the bottom of the pile. But if you get sick or burnt out, who is going to be able to look after all these people that you take care of right now? So, in order to preserve your mental and emotional well-being as well as your physical health, you have to start to put yourself first. Your physical well-being requires attention to your diet, exercise, and sleep, but those are only the very basics of self-care. Only doing the minimum won't guarantee that you will improve your well-being. You need to be doing things every week to recharge your batteries by doing things that bring you joy, and they're for you alone and no one else. And by doing that, your friends and family will actually find that you are nicer to be with. And it might even seem like their behavior has changed, but actually, well, it might have, but it's going to be in direct response to you showing yourself more kindness. The other thing a lot of us do is get caught up in other people's dramas. And that's often because we think we're helping them. You're showing them compassion. If you know people like that, has your helping them actually ever improved their situation? Being a rescuer is often a lifetime occupation. But in reality, you can't change anybody but yourself. So the compassionate thing to do is to point the victim, the person who you are trying to rescue, point them towards the tools that they can use to make changes themselves in their life. Or if it really requires it, point them towards expert intervention, because sometimes, people have problems that we're not qualified to deal with. And of course, there's charitable giving and philanthropy, which means that you can help strangers without getting involved in their day-to-day lives. And if you don't have spare funds to donate money, you could think about how your time or expertise might help. But again, think about your emotional and mental well-being first. I've known people who volunteered for causes that were really close to their hearts, but then they realized once they were in that situation that they didn't actually have the emotional resources to cope with it. Because some of these groups deal with really harrowing things, and you may not be prepared to do that. So you can't help anybody if you don't help yourself first. The other thing is about being judgmental. Being non-judgmental is a really important aspect of compassion. How many times do you get really agitated by someone else's behavior or something they might say? And you spend a lot of energy and maybe even time being agitated, which is harmful to your well-being, really. But of course, none of us really and truly know what's going on in someone's life, even if we think we know them well. And being judgmental makes you feel bad, and it's probably an aspect of what I'll call comparisonitis. When you compare yourself to others, for good or bad, compassion is definitely lacking. Compassion for the other person, if you're being judgmental, but also compassion for yourself if you are continually comparing yourselves to other people. Because again, you have no idea what help they're getting from outside. You really don't know what's going on in their lives. So being compassionate always starts with being compassionate to yourself so that you are able to help others. And self-care is probably the most important thing that you'll learn as a member of my Halcyon community. Because of course, yes, you can put all this into practice by yourself, but will you? You probably already know a lot of what I've said. You've probably heard it before. Sometimes we get into habits and we can't even recognize that they're harmful to us. And it takes sometimes the loving intervention of somebody else to point it out to you. And the Halcyon membership is full of women who have walked this path before you, who understand how hard it is and are ready to stand with you as you make a change. Be inspired by their stories. Be comforted by their support. Now, I'm going to be opening the Halcyon membership for new members for just a few days next week. And if you want to know more right now, send me a message or get onto the email list so that you can get the information as soon as I have it to send out. And you can sign up for the email list at louisecarden.com/halcyon-membership-waitlist. So thank you for listening to me this afternoon. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're up to. And if you've got any questions about compassion or anything I've said, I'll be back tomorrow doing a Facebook Live in my free Facebook group, which is Serenity Circle. If you search Serenity Circle in Facebook, you should find it. It's facebook.com/group/SerenityC, capital C. And there's loads of stuff in there to help you with feeling calmer, being more compassionate, and it's a great community. So thank you very much, and I hope to see some of you somewhere very soon.